Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am Jassim Alshamsi speaking to you from Lima. It's a great pleasure to open this cultural event about national attire across the world. Today we'll be talking about the national attire of United Arab Emirates and the national attire of the Republic of Peru. We have through this discussion two excellent guests. Allow me to introduce Mr. Husam Mohamad Jaber, consultant specialized in the UAE national dress. Thank you for being with us here, Mr. Husam. And from Peru, Ms. Claudia Bertolero, fashion designer. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Claudia. We're going to start with Mr. Husam, who's going to speak about the UAE national attire. Mr. Husam, if you are ready, go ahead, please. Unmute your mic and start.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, good morning in Peru. My name is Husam. I'm a traditional and historical costume consultant. I started that passion since childhood. It has been growing with me until it became my specialty. Today I'll be speaking to you about the Emirati costume, which is, if we go back in history, it's very, very rich. What we see now of the elegance is just related to the elegant history of the UAE costume or UAE attire. I'm going to make it simple today, inshallah. I'm going to divide it into three main elements. First element is the head cover. Second element is the body cover. The third element is the shoes. Karamkum Allah. The three elements are very related to each other. The first element, the head cover, has three parts. First part is the igal, which is the wool piece. I call it the black crown. It's made out of wool, natural wool. Since the old days, they used to put it on the ghatra, which is the second part. It's a white sheet made out of pure cotton. It's folded to be in a triangle way, or be on the head, and the black crown on the top of it. As you can see behind me over here. And there is the gahfiya, what we call the gahfiya. It's a net sewn by hand just to make this whole set of the whole head set firm, not moving left and right. That's about the head cover. About the ghatra, we have the summer season ghatras, which is the cotton, the white cotton one. And we have the turma, the shawl, which is made in Kashmir. Usually since the old days, they used to import them from Kashmir through Bahrain, usually, for the winter season, of course. And we got the shimar also as a head cover in plenty of colors. That depends on the season, depends on the taste, and some other factors. Depends on the occasion you're going to. That's in simple form. They talk about the head cover. We'll go to the second part, which is the body cover. We have continued items, I call them, and we have discontinued items since the old days. Continued items are the kandura, which is continued since the old days, which is what you can see me wearing now here. It hasn't changed since maybe 150 years or more. The color the official color is the white one, but people used to dye it in the old days with some natural colors like the saffron or the pomegranate, so with natural colors to make it full of life and to make it suitable for the environment in the old days. And then we have the bisht. The bisht is actually it's my favorite part to talk about the bisht. And if I talk like for 1 week, it's not enough for the bisht. I call it the sign of wealth and the social level, as it used to be since hundreds of years till this moment. It's still a sign of wealth and the social level. It comes in different color shades, comes in different material. That depends also on the season. We have here 2 main seasons in this area, like the summer and the winter. When it gets cold, you wear the heavy material, and when it gets hot in the summer, you still wear a bisht, but the lighter ones. All of them are hand-weaved, hand-stitched. As you get closer, like if you get closer to the bisht, you will see how much art it has. You will see how much effort was paid to make one piece. Then you will know that it used to cost so much, and it wasn't available like for everybody to wear. And nowadays, it's still a sign of the social level, sign of a formal sign. Like when you go to a meeting, I'm sure the royalty are wearing it, the ministers are wearing it. When it's a formal situation or formal occasion, everybody's wearing the bisht. Of course, the bisht has been used way more than how much it's being used nowadays. Like in the old days, everybody's like looking, trying to look formal, trying to look luxurious, trying to look as elegant as possible. But nowadays, like due to the social life and like people keep moving, and it's not very practical, to be honest. The bisht is very royal, very elegant, but it's not very practical to be on all the time. So there's many reasons that it's being used less than in the past. The types of the bisht, the winter bisht and the summer bisht, they used to be imported from main areas. They are from Bahrain. They used to import them from Bahrain, from Iraq, for the summer. I'm talking about the summer bisht. For the winter bisht, used to get them from Syria mainly, because of the heavy material they have and the professionals in weaving of heavy materials there in Syria. We should mention the Sharjawi bisht. In the pilgrimage, Muslim al-Hajj, in the pilgrimage season, they used to ask about people used to ask for the Sharjawi bisht, that bisht which is made in Sharjah, for nice details, lovely shape, lovely color shades. That's about the bishts for now. I have to talk about some discontinued, as the fashion designer here, Miss Claudia, she will understand about continue when I say continued collection or discontinued collection. The Kandura and the Bisht are continued collection, like they're there all the time. Since hundreds of years they are there. Discontinued collection when you come to the historical or to the traditional Emirati attire, which is the waistcoat. I'm sorry, the vest, the waistcoat. They used to wear it in the past. Reason is that there was an influence from an English taste, like it's just exactly same like the waistcoat of the English suit. It's exactly the same. They used to wear it to keep the pocket watch, some pearls for the pearl merchants, some amount of money. Like it's more handy at the old days, but and it was for everybody, for royalty, for public, for everybody. It's very elegant. To be honest, I see it very elegant, and I don't like that it's a discontinued piece of our clothes has gone away. I'm trying to wear it myself. I'm trying to wear it and bring it back to life because it's very elegant, to be honest. Let's come to the next discontinued thing, but still very rare to see people wearing it now, which is the jacket, the English suit jacket. People used to wear it like in the winter season, like over the kandura, and they wear the bisht over that. And from my experience or from my research, as I've seen, much more than that. Today's session, I'll make it short with those elements. While it's way more than that, we have way more than these elements, and I would like to share with you, if you allow me, Mr. Jassim and Miss Claudia, to share a picture which inspires me. That's our founder, our father. We call him Baba Zayed. May God bless his soul. He was taking good care of the tradition, inviting people, like asking people always to keep an eye on the tradition. Always keep an eye. Always stick to the tradition. Stick to the culture. Stick to your roots. So that picture inspires me a lot. And he was wearing that waistcoat, and he was wearing the mahzam, which is the leather piece to put the bullets. Another picture I would love to share, if you allow me, guys. This one. Sheikh Zayed, rahmatullah alayh, with the jacket. That's in front of Qasr Al-Husam Palace. Such a lovely picture with his smile, rahmatullah alayh. And he's wearing the dagger, the Emirati khanjar. And we have here one of our friends specialized in khanjars and daggers. We might talk about in future, inshallah. And at the end of my little talk, I would like to send an invitation to everybody who's having at home or in his collection any piece that is related to our culture, of fashion wise, like any piece, a jacket, an old jacket, an old gatra, an old ugal, an old bisht. That will be very helpful to send that piece or send that collection to the concerned department to continue the researches and for the reason of researches and documentation. This will help a lot in sending a conclusion, sending an information that you can depend on for future researches, for future generations. We are documenting our history with the help of these pieces. So that's one thing I would like to ask everybody about. And the second thing to ask is to keep an eye on the traditional outfit, not to mess with, always protected, always keep it the way it used to be, and make it the way it used to be, or wear it the way it used to be. Don't try to mess or change the soul of the traditional outfit, especially in the Gulf area, that we have some differences between little differences in the Gulf area between the countries in the shapes of Kandura, let's say, little differences in the shape of the Agal, little differences. So I invite everybody to keep an eye and protect the original shape of your culture, the original shape of your costume, because that means a lot, and it's something very important that we need to shift to the future generations, and something that we need to document. And thank you very much for listening. It was my pleasure to talk about our costume. Mr. Jassim, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Husam. Mrs. Claudia, it's your turn to elaborate about the national attire of Peru. We are very excited to hear about it. Please unmute and start.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Claudia Bertolero. I'm a fashion designer based in Peru, and I'm the Peruvian brand ambassador of my country with great honor. And it's a great pleasure to be sharing something about my country with you all. I will be presenting a brief history of the Peruvian national attire of men's clothing. So let's begin. Peru is located in the western part of South America, shares border with many countries. As you see, we have in the north, Ecuador and Colombia, in the east, Brazil, in the south, Bolivia and Chile. We share our coast with the Pacific Ocean. Our main language is Spanish, but our used to be Quechua that we still use. Peruvians maintain a very strong sense of national identity through clothing supported by color, design, and materials. Here we have an image that shows especially the typical dance, and we see that the men are wearing the headdress, the montera, which shows the social status that got very influenced in that period. The image depicts men in traditional dance, garments expressing the cultural identity of the mountain region. This is one of my favorite pictures because it really shows what Peru is all about. Peru is about color, embroidery, symbolism, shape. Here, as you can see, it shows like a mountain that is called Diapu. Apu is the connection, the god of the Andes. And this is a typical traditional dance garment called chonguinada. And I love it because it means a lot, and it shows how the artisan worked their pieces. Now in this slide, we'll see the material evolution of men's clothing. But I would like to point out the gold Intihuatana sundial. It means that Peruvians are children of the sun. And this image, you will see it in the history of Peru many times. And the materials of evolution of men's clothing, I divided in 5 eras, which are the pre-Inca, the colonial, the Republic, and the modern. The pre-Inca, it's divided in many cultures, but there are so many that I will not have the time to share with you in 20 minutes. So I will discuss only 4: Mochica, Paracas, Chavin, Ichimu. Mochica culture. In this image, as you can see, we see the Lord of Sipan. He used to be the ruler, a very important guy that by the way he's dressed, we can see that he's a powerful man in comparison to the person behind. He wears a lot of gold. The Lord of Sipan introduced materials like gold, feathers, and other precious stones and metals. Men's clothing were a direct representation of their social status. The more decorative, the more powerful they were. So you'll see through the presentation this fact. Symbolism was created through anthropomorphic figures. And anthropomorphic figures is the mix of human and animal all together. Paracas culture. This is my favorite. I'm a fashion textile designer, and I got very influenced by this period. They were an elite class known for their textile work. They began to dye their fabrics, their yarns with natural elements. You could see the shape, the square base. As you can see, they are squares based on geometric designs, and are telling a little bit about the story. It's like a patchwork. Each piece is different from the other. So they're telling their daily life, where they come from, their social status. It's like telling a story. Men's clothing were hand woven, and bands, belts, and tunics were used to signify status. We have here the Chavin culture, the economic based on potatoes and corn, but also they play an important role, and we see here with the tunic. The tunic is called the unku. It's made out of feathers, and they dye them. And we can see that they use as well silver, and in their how you call this, the crown, the scepter they were with feathers, and shoes were had silver trims. Also, it's very important to see that you'll see the difference between one culture through the other, because sometimes you will see some relations, but in this occasion it's completely different from the one that I said previously, the Paracas one. The Chimu culture instead is a master in textile, ceramics, and goldsmith. Instead, Paracas was only master in textiles. Here we see that they were they were aware of textiles, ceramics, and goldsmith. Their garments became more elaborate with geometric, with figures, and the men's clothing consisted in taparrabos, which they covered the private area, and there were tunics, we are the uncus, the ponchos, and sleeveless shirts. The Peruvian culture is very vast, so it's difficult to narrate in 20 minutes, but I would like to share with you now the Inca period. The luxury was a privilege only for men. There were distinct difference between the Inca, the nobility, and the people. Existed through the quality of their fabrics and adornments. Here I would like to point out the way the Incas is dressed. He has the tunic is called the uncu. The belt is called the tocapo. He has a lot of bracelets, and he had the crown that is the mascaipacha, and the scepter is called the sunturpaucar. He has geometric and symbols ornaments, and the shoes they use it nowadays as well. It's called the usuta or ojota. The tunic is made out of alpaca, and he has a cape that is called yacoya. Those names they come from Quechua, so that's why they're not really familiar with Spanish. This period, I love it. Is the colonial one, influenced me a lot in my career. Here we have the influence of the Spanish people that came to conquer Peru, and the people that live, the indigenous, they didn't like that they came here to change their customs, the way they used to dress. So they were forced to. So what they did instead, they used the pants, the blouse, the jacket that the Spanish people brought, but they put the tunic on top in honor of their tradition, of their culture. And also they wear ornaments to keep them as a reminder of where they came from. No, so it's very important to point that out. And the Spanish people during that time, they brought the lace, the brocade, the velvet to the tradition of the Inca styles. So it's like a fusion. In the Republic period, we'll see that the tapada limeña was an important attire. Why? Because it started on the colonial, and it remains until the beginning of the Republic. It was like to show and not to show. And definitely during that time, we created our flag, the national anthem, our currency, and their seal. But I would like to point out that this lasted 3 decades, and people tried to change it, the nobility, the religions, but they were not able to. Then here, the Republic changed. After that transition, it came the period where we got inspired by the French culture that brought many ways. The ways he was dressed, he looks like a French guy. No, he's wearing pants and the jacket, and the first time he's wearing a band. That he's the president of Peru, Luis José de Orbegoso. And then here comes the modernity, so the modern time. Here we see that they were, even though it came with a lot of changes through the previous time, we see that we love our culture. We love where we come from. So we see the dances, the typical dance, they show our colors, our traditions, the way we dance, the way we dress, and it's a way of showing their tradition through generation to generation. It's a fusion of the old and the new. I would like to point out that Peru is divided in 4 regions: the Pacific Ocean, the coast, the mountains, and the jungles. Now I would like to talk about the coast, because the attire is different from the other ones. The coast, here the weather is hotter, and so the fabric has to be light. We use a lot of cotton. In the previous times, we used to have 24 types of cottons. Nowadays, we have only 4, and we still use them. Normally they dressed in white, like a white t-shirt, jacket, but we will use accessories, and the accessories are the handkerchief and the hat. The hat is made of toquilla that comes from Cajamarca. Now here in the mountains, you will see completely different from the coast. We see colors. The weather is cooler, so they need to protect themselves. So they wear like the poncho, okay? And we see that he's using the montera, which I mentioned previously, which is the headdress that shows status. This person is the major of chincheros, and it's nowadays. So it's nothing that is old. It's something new. We keep this tradition until today, and we show two symbols. He's wearing the barayok, which symbolizes the authority because he's nominated to be the major, and then he has the montera, which I mentioned, that it shows also his social status. I put some images related to the mountains. We have the chuyo, we have the poncho, all done by hand. We have the tradition, especially in the way they cultivate their fields, as well the way they dress for dancing occasions, and we have ayama, que es un auquénido. Instead, the jungle period time, the weather is hotter. The fabric we use is the kushma. The kushma is for the men is they do it in vertical lines, and for the women is horizontal. And there is used in three colors: the brown, kind of reddish, in dark silver, and in the cream. And the accessories, we see that they're wearing feather as a crown. And here at the right, we see that they're using, it's called, it's a dance, the yawa, and it's made of vegetable, of plants. It's a tradition they still use. And now Peru is so well known for the manual loom. So I would like to share that the manual looms, it tells like a story. It's a language. It's translating stories. The colors mean something. And we use los auquénidos, we use the vicuña, la alpaca, la llama, el guanaco. They're the typical auquénidos of the mountains. And we see here different ones. They're all handmade, and they show how they do it. We have many. And here they use natural colors from the auquénidos that we see on the side. Then here I would like to share, if you allow me to, I got inspired in the Peruvian paso horse. The Peruvian paso horse is a tradition. Is the silence ambassador of our country, and it's related from the coast. I got inspired on the coast, as you can see, the poncho, the way he's dressed, and that influenced a lot in my career. It's already 15 years that I started with a lot of effort, and I keep going. And from that tradition, I changed it to modernity, keeping the essence. And that's what I did. I use leather, silver, and I use as well alpaca, baby alpaca. I kept the hat, the toquilla hat, and it's basically my work. And I would like to thank everyone for their time and to allow me to show a little bit about my country and my work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claudia. It was very interesting to hear from both of you about this traditional subject where we can connect cultural bridges between both friendly countries. If you may allow me to share my experience with the UAE national costume. Based on my experience as a diplomat located in Peru, usually I wear the formal andora, that I'm wearing now, during national ceremonies such as the National Day of the UAE, during the celebration of the embassy on the 2nd of December every year. In addition, I have participated in the celebration of the New Year Eve hosted by His Excellency Martin Vizcarra, the previous president of Peru. And the embassy is going to host many cultural events led by His Excellency Mohamad Alshamsi, the UAE ambassador to the Republic of Peru, expecting that those events will knowledge the Peruvian community about the UAE culture, tradition, and heritage. Well, it's time for the questions. I will be asking a general question for both of you. Then you will have the chance to ask each other. I will start with you, Claudia. In your opinion, why is the traditional clothing important? What do you think?
Well, basically, thank you for the question. Tradition is, like I mentioned before, is very important. And in the Peruvian attire, we see it that it could change through the times, but it will remain. Peru is very attached to their culture, to their tradition. And we like to keep it, and we are very proud. So that's what I would like to share with you, my personal experience.
Thank you very much. And Husam, would like to hear your opinion. The traditional clothing, why it's important? Why you think it's important?
It's a tradition. It's a culture that's supposed to survive over the years. The more you're attached to it, the more it will survive and last. It's like a sign of the country. When you see an Emirati attire with the kandura, agal, and the best, you will know this is Emirati. Even after 100 years, you will know that this is Emirati. From my little experience, I used to go through old archives of pictures, and I or anybody could locate that picture. They can know where was that picture taken, where was that uniform from. And when you see the uniform of Peru, when you see the uniform of United Arab Emirates, even 100 years from now, you will look and you will know this is an Emirati attire. This is the Emirati look, how it used to be before 100, 200, 300 years. You can know it's a signature of the country. You cannot. It's just like a flag of the country. Something very important, very important. That's in my opinion. And of course, by the way, I liked the toqiya, which is the hat, which is in Arabic taqiya. It's very much related to Arabic. That hat, when you said toqiya, I knew that there's something related to Arabic. In Arabic, in one of the accents, we call it taqiya. So the hat taqiya, there is a link. It's a small world. There is a link between all cultures, and I'm sure if we look more into the costumes of Peru, we will find bits. We will find the bits in kind of a different way, a different design. But I'm sure we will find bits there. Thank you very much, sir.
Claudia, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I really like what he said, because definitely we are related. For example, in my personal experience, I got inspired in the Peruvian Paso horse, and I study it a lot. Okay. And the Peruvian Paso horse, and we can see that it came from Europe, but it's a fusion of the Berebere, which is a type of Arabic horse, and the Andalusian. Both together made the Peruvian Paso horse. So we are related, definitely. And I think also the Tapada Limeña has a very, in a certain way, a type of influence from Asia as well.
Yes, thank you. Well, Claudia, if you have any questions, Husam can start.
Yes, I would like to ask Husam, how have you implemented the textiles in your collection?
Well, there are two main seasons here in the region, the summer and the winter. So we use the light ones, the hand weaved wool for the summertime, about the best I'm talking, and the light cotton kanduras for the summer too. In the winter we changed to the wool, like heavy wool kandura, and the heavy vests and the heavy shawls instead of the normal gatra, the plain cotton one. So we relate this by the season and the occasion. We put the major color for the occasion, the white, black, and the desert brown for the whole uniform. And so two factors, like the season and the occasion, will affect in choosing the textiles or choosing the fabrics in the costume.
Yeah, thank you very much, Husam. And if you have any question for Claudia, let's go ahead.
I have a question about the factors affected the uniform or the costume of Peru. Like what affected that uniform that we see now? And we have seen many amazing pieces in your collection, mashallah, and we would like to know what factors affected to reach to this.
Normally, like I mentioned, thank you for your question. Normally, during the colonial period, we got influenced by the Spanish people. They came and they brought their own culture. So they said that we have to stop believing in our gods, changing the way we used to dress. So they like imposed that. So we got rebel and said, no, we can't, we will not accept it. So, and they will use to burn our national attire to force us to use it, which was not fair during that time. So what they do, they accept it in a certain way because they were forced to, but they kept the tradition. They kept the tunic. They put it on top. So they created a fusion. Through the years, we see that there's a fusion between the Spanish influence and the Peruvian ones, and it became really nice because we created different colors, embroideries. It's like a new fashion show. Very nice, and I think we kept it through the years, and it's now going through generation through generation. Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. You have any more questions, Claudia or Husam? Unmute, just unmute, Claudia, yes?
Okay, I would like to ask Husam, for example, how he has contributed as a designer to his country.
To be honest, I have been pushing people, like wherever I go, wherever I participate, asking people to look too much into details of the culture of costume, the culture of uniform. Look into details. We are all in the world. We are all like one country. We are all human beings, but there are specific reasons or specific conditions that we are in to choose our costume and the national attire that we have now. So look into it and respect it. That's always I have focused on that. Wherever I go, respect. I ask people to respect the national dress, the national uniform. Don't mess with it, because that means a lot to the country. And wherever you go, you should learn about the country, and you should learn about the uniform of the country, how to wear it, how to put it on in a way that is not offensive. It should be a very respectful way. So that's a sample of what I try to communicate to the people, to the cultures, to wherever I go. Look into details of your costume. Look into details of your uniform and your culture, and respect it. Respect other cultures. Respect the uniform itself. That means you're respecting, at least you're paying a respect to the culture you're talking about. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, Husam, if you have any question as well.
A question to Ms. Claudia about the age, or if you know how many changes until they reach to the last uniform that we have now of Peru, the last one, the last uniform. How old is it? I know that there have been many changes. I've seen beautiful colors in the costumes until we reach to the last one, the last uniform. How many times has it changed until it became what it is at the moment?
Well, I remember that I mentioned, for example, thank you for your question. I remember I mentioned the 5 eras, the pre-Inca, the Inca, the colonial, the republic, and the modernity. So it came through all those stages, okay? Obviously, it depends on the region, okay? For example, in the coast, got more influence, in the mountains and in the jungle as well. But what I would like to point out is that we keep the tradition. It could be little changes, but we don't have any more the Spanish influence anymore. So we have our own identity nowadays. So we respect it, and we are proud to show it. So I invite you to come to my country to show you a little bit about it, their colors, their embroidery, their techniques, their weaving, the loom, and it's basically, I can tell you that the tradition now is well respected, and we are very proud. We have so many events, dances that shows a little bit of what we are. So, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And we came to the end of this session. Many thanks to Mr. Husam Mohamad Jaber, a consultant specialized in the UAE national dress, and Mrs. Claudia Bertolero, fashion designer. And we look forward to seeing both of you in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.